Sir, analytics are down. What do we do? Everyone's tired of grief. Do we become a VTuber? An e-girl? No. No. We play Battle of Wits. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And Sean gave me a ton of donation deck lists. Thank you very much for that, Sean. It was very much a feel-good moment for me. The last couple of weeks have been rough on analytics, but support means a lot. And today we are going to be messing around with Battle of Wits. So, this is just a 5 mana, you win the game card, no strings attached. How many cards in library? 200 or more cards in your library, you win the game. So, we are going to be in the spice today, playing a rather ridiculous and hopefully very fun deck list. I think the goal with a deck like this one is to break even on the league. Like, if we can go 3-2 while playing Battle of Wits, that is like, mwah, chef's kiss. Now, there's kind of this problem with trying to do a deck tech on Battle of Wits in that, like, there's kind of too much to talk about, and it is pretty much impossible to get everything on screen at the same time, especially given that there are, I think it's 118 lands in this deck list. So this is one of those times that I would love to direct you to my sponsor, moxfield.com. If you go to my Moxfield, it is linked in the description. You can get this deck list directly and kind of thumb through and see what's going on. More or less, we are a multicolor mid-range deck list that is held together by a very large number of mana dorks and other forms of mana acceleration and mana fixing, which is going to allow us to cast our various cards, and Magic Online is even lagging a little bit as I scroll through all of these various things here. The mid-range shell that we are kind of basing this deck around, and I say basing in the loosest possible way, is a Nadu sort of blue-green mid-range shell. We've got all the colors in this deck list, and if we shift over to the right, like, you will see that we are just going to play some cards that are generically powerful that pay us off for having a bunch of mana. But Nadu is one of the core things present in this deck list, and we are going to have some things like tutors, but we are very much not expecting to win very many games with Nadu. This is a 285 card deck. The degree of variance that is here is going to be insane. We are hoping to put a win with Battle of Winds onto the stack today. That would be cool, but we have a ton of different win conditions, such as Natural Order for Atraxa, or just doing some landfall nonsense and just grinding the game out with +1/+1 counters. Over in the land pile, we do have a Dark Depths Thespian Stage package, as well as a Field of the Dead package. So this is very much going to be a loosey-goosey, win the game with magic cards somehow sort of game, rather than a hyper-focused deck list, and it should be a lot of fun. As far as the sideboard goes, we do have a sideboard. The most important thing in there is probably the Yorion. But otherwise, we are just playing a lot of copies of similar effects to max out on our possibility of drawing something in our 285 card deck list. So, without further ado, let's jump into some matches of Magic. Should you need your Battle of Wits or the other 285 cards that make up this deck list, please consider checking out my sponsor, Tales of Adventure, toamagic.com. Use promo code ThrabenU to save yourself a little bit on the order. You always receive free shipping on online orders, and if you're going to a major event such as a MagicCon, you can order online and pick up on site. Buckle up, folks. It is gonna be a bumpy ride. By the way, I think I forgot to mention it. The decklist design comes from Joe Dyer of MTG Goldfish, who does an awesome This Week in Legacy series, which often highlights cool and interesting decks. Please consider checking out his work if you enjoy reading Magic articles. Okay, this league is going to be much more keep hands that have some mana and stuff to do rather than looking for a specific plan. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, so we have Tundra. We can maybe pick up like a Bayou here, max out on some colors. We are very much not going to try to break our brains over maximizing things like fetching today. Like, we are here to have a good time. Moto lag is noticeably more than normal. Cloud Post, sure. All right, I will just probably double spell this turn, and then use the green sun for something cool in a little bit. So I'd like red green or red blue from this. Probably red green. Yeah, because I want a double green spell. So we'll play these. They're uncounterable. Yaw and yaw. Love tap for 1. So to fight against Cloud Post decks, generally speaking, you are trying to disrupt their mana. I think there's Wastelands in this deck. I can potentially get a tapped Wasteland with something like an Elvish Reclaimer in a little bit. Although we could eat a Pithing Needle effect on Elvish Reclaimer or Wasteland, and that could stop that sort of thing. Alright. I guess I need to see if Wasteland is in this deck list. Wasteland is in this deck list. Okay, so I can get one, or I could do a Green Sun for 2. It's probably better to get a Wasteland. So Love Tap for 2. This is going to be a real scary turn. My opponent pretty easily could have something like 7 mana. We could immediately be eating something like an All Is Dust. Oh, it's Urza's Tower, so my opponent is a planar Nexus version of the deck. That's fine. Oh shit, we are kind of lucking out here, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I sort of feel like we are getting away with murder if I get to start wastelanding these Cloud Posts. Alright, we are getting a response. It is a Kozilek's command for X equals 2. You've got it. And something else. We're going to get, yeah, Disruptor Flute. So the land that I am about to get is going to enter tapped. So my opponent shouldn't do this until I get the Wasteland. Now I don't have to search out Wasteland anymore. So my opponent has given up some degree of value. Gaia's Cradle just taps for 2 mana. Allows me to Green Sun. I'll have 5 mana. I can Green Sun for a larger creature. What do I even want here? I can't quite get to Atraxa. Picking up Nadu probably doesn't matter. Do something like Leovold, do something like Eternal Witness, something like Bristly Bill. Let's get the Gaia's Cradle. Gaia's Cradle plus Allosaurus Shepherd is also just a way to work towards killing my opponent. That gets countered by Vexing Bauble. Can I just whack my opponent and kill them over 2 turns? Not quite yet, but soon. Yeah, I think I like this for 2. Get Bristly Bill. Trigger landfall. Increase the power of these. And that's going to be worth quite a bit of power over the course of a couple of turns. So now I am representing lethal next turn, in theory. In practice, maybe not, though. Okay, this is good. The Vexing Bauble is getting cracked. That's great. Did we just, like, luck out and my opponent's deck didn't function? Oh, it's a new Vexing Bauble. That is not how my opponent wants to be spending their mana here. Sure. Okay, Glimmer Post is worth a few life. Will that be enough? Damn it. I would have gotten Nadu. I combo off this turn. Oh, well. Is base power 5/5? Yep. Alright. So, yeah. Yeah. So it's 1, 2, 3. Shuko's free to equip, so this is just free to do. So, yeah. And I guess that counter technically should have gone on Bristly Bill. Alright. Send them. After no blocks, activate this ability. Giving those base power 5/5. So this is not quite lethal due to the Glimmer Post, but it's pretty close. Our opponent is at 2. Now, terrible, awful things like All Is Dust, Eldrazi that exiles 2 of my things at the same time, like that sort of stuff can still happen. We're not out of the woods yet. I'm wondering why my opponent kept their hand. Like, this is turn 5, And they did not make a super meaningful play this game. We'll take it. So I could Force of Vigor here, and there is probably something in my deck that is bad. Force of Vigor is not exactly fantastic, but sometimes getting rid of a Disruptor Flute or a Vexing Bauble or something could be relevant. The thing is, I'm not going to tutor for Wasteland all that consistently. I have somewhere on the order of 8 tutors for it, 4 crop rotations, 4 Elvish Reclaimers. Oh, Carpet of Flowers is... Well, I guess... how exactly does Planar Nexus read? Planar Nexus is every non-basic land type. Okay. Yeah, so Carpet of Flowers probably not having text. We'll turn Carpet of Flowers into Force of Vigor. And then just assume that our deck is perfect after that. Can I keep this, given that Yorion is a thing that exists in my hand that always gives me something to do with my mana? Let's assume yes. This is definitely sketch, and I would mulligan this with a normal deck, but we are not in the normal zone, friends. We are in Weirdo Boot Camp, Population Fill. Planar Nexus. Opponent could be looking at Asma. Hello. How you doing? Let's get Noble Hierarch into play here. So if we don't need to pitch this Battle of Wits to Force of Negation to like stay alive, Battle of Wits on about turn 3 will win us the game. We have blue and blue. So like we are on the right track to just win. Ooh, that's an untapped blue land as well. I don't even need to play the Triome right now. I guess well, no, I want to play Gaia's Cradle. I'm always casting this off of Forest. I think I'm just going to play my tapped land still here. And then attack in for a few points of damage. Send it. Do my 2. Opponent's at 18. Alright, no plays, no end of turn crop rotation or anything. I have Force of Negation as a safety net. Let me Battle of Wits, Tochi. Oh yeah, baby. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Battle of Wits. And unless something crazy happens, I do believe that I still will have 200 or more cards in my library. We'd have to lose about 75 cards in order for Battle of Wits to not be a win. Now, Boseiju is a thing. Things can still happen here. This is not 100% a win, but this is damn exciting. Come on, baby. We are living the dream. Tochi, if you see this video, please consider mulliganing. The London Mulligan is one of the most powerful things in Magic, and you did not make a major meaningful play in either game. Mulligan, a handful of mana, and 1 good card goes a long way. Alright, continuing our trend of keeping hands that have mana and cards, we have kept this hand. We are potentially facing down an opposing Nadu deck, would be my guess from this start, although it could be some sort of like maybe green-black mid-range deck as well. And I have to decide what I'm thinking about this Elvish Reclaimer. I think it can just be mana ramp. Like, it's a little awkward to get rid of it given that I have a Gaia's Cradle though. So we'll start by seeing if it resolves. I think we're okay with just flaring. This is not like the Flare of Cultivation that gives you the maximum possible value. Alright, so I have green, white, this is blue, so I guess in theory I would like red, black. I probably don't want both of those at the same time. It's going to be a tropical island to give me my green for endurance. I guess I can get the other colors. Sure. Or no, I want green next turn. I'll pick up forest and maybe... What? Forest and swamp. We'll put the forest onto the battlefield. We're going to occasionally get some weird flag bursts playing this deck. That is just going to be the reality of the situation. Alright, so we are still in the, like, Nadu is very likely ballpark. Yep, feels like Nadu. But this Teferi is not immediately damning. It's a little annoying that I can't just like end of turn endurance and attack on in like I was planning to do, but it's not the end of the world here. All right, so we've got plenty of colors here. We're just going to cast a body that will probably get bounced. The other thing we could do is just put a Yorion into our hand, but that doesn't really do anything right now, so I'm not going to do that. Both decks here are deploying threats ahead of curve. All right, yeah, we are just seeing the tempo bounce. That's perfectly fine. And our opponent is surveilling. Junking a Swords, which is an answer to the Endurance that they know I have, though they are interested in some other things. Potentially just looking for a Nadu or a Shuko or something to go with it. So if I go green, I can then play out Endurance with green from Gaia's Cradle. Swords can go back into your deck, I guess. And are we looking at Atraxa next turn? 1, 2 from Gaia's Cradle, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7? Not anymore. Now I've only got 5 mana next turn. I mean, 5 can be Lorien. Well, not exactly Lorien revealed. All right, there is a Nadu. So my opponent has the Nadu Nomads in Core combo. This is going to lag like all hell. I am just going to concede here for both of our quality of life. Otherwise, this game is going to lag like mad because my opponent is going to take roughly 200 game actions. We're good. Now, I could force a Vigor here to attempt to disrupt Shuko's if my opponent is even playing that, but I think I am just going to hit the submit button here. My deck is perfect. We have not lost a round yet, so can't prove me wrong. All right, I do not have workable mana here, so this one is going to be a mulligan. Nadu Mirror time. Yeah, this is totally fine. We'll keep this one. I think I want this as a backdoor plan to funnel Carpet of Flowers mana into. But I don't think I'm going to keep double pieces or going off with Nadu. I think I'm going to get rid of Nomads in Core. I think that one is just easier to remove. Although I don't know. This is multiple bodies for the Nadu. All right, I've changed my mind. So I want blue, green, and red and white off of these fetch lands over the 2 lands. What is happening? Okay. I need green this turn, so I could do like green, white this turn, and then red, blue next turn. I think I am just playing out the Carpet of Flowers immediately. It makes my opponent's mana situation slightly more awkward, in that they might have to fetch a basic to not give me an island. But if I play Carpet of Flowers out and my opponent does lead on an island of some nature, I do have the possibility of just jamming turn 2 4th Aerlingas, attacking, becoming the Monarch. That's less exciting to do after my opponent puts a creature into play, though. I will probably just put a Nadu into play this turn. We'll go blue, fetch, grab a Volk. I have red, white, and blue, green over these lands successfully. And our Nadu here is intended, more so than anything else, as a value Nadu. In this specific hand, we do have the combo potential, though. Opponent gets to dig a little bit. We find a Swords to Plowshares or equivalent. Got another land. There is the Swords. I'm going to draw a card off of that, which is honestly just great. Ooh, nice. So let's turn off auto yields. Do not want to yield through this turn. So then at end step, I can do something like fetch a Triome or something. The Grixis one. Oh man, I have multiple Triomes that I have to think about. Okay, so one that's blue for Mystic Sanctuary untapped is relevant. Green is technically relevant, so something like Ketria is fine. Though I don't have showing black yet. Maybe I get Xander's. The honest answer is it probably doesn't matter that much. Allosaurus Shepherd. So I can go 1, 2, 3, and 4, make 2 things with fourth Aerlingas. They have trample. So I can get in and become the Monarch. That's like fine. We'll do tapped Mystic Sanctuary and send. Oh, no. And send forth the Aerlingas. Doing this for x equals 2, we'll attack with just one of them. Oh, man. Now, the Allosaurus Shepherd here specifically says that green spells you control can't be countered. So our opponent now does have enough mana that in theory they could combo off this turn by playing a Nadu followed by a Shuko or a Nomads in Core. And they do have Sylvan Safekeeper that they can activate just as a way to kind of get this started if they want. But that might not really be profitable for them. If I were on their side of the battlefield, I would be thinking about sacrificing this one. Like, I think that's somewhat reasonable. So yeah, we'll make some white. We'll play a Nomads in Core. I am going to play an Allosaurus Shepherd. And then we'll put Yorion in hand. Call it a turn. We are, this far away from death here. Got a Surveil land. Opponent junks a land. Okay, so here is what I was talking about before, where our opponent is trying to go and get things going with Sylvan Safekeeper. This is not necessarily going to be a deterministic start. I am not going to concede to this. Now, Caracas can bounce Nadu, and then our opponent can replay Nadu, which can get into some really neat lines. We'll see where my opponent ends up going. Oh, they're going pretty deep. Sure. So, when all of that has resolved, my opponent is still at about the same number of lands in play. And they get a little bit of selection here. If they like what they see, they can keep going by using Sylvan Safekeeper to target the new Delighted Halfling, which is happening. Getting a Misty. And we might see another fetch. We'll see if there's like a Surveil land or something here. Negative. Oh, we're just doing it again. Now, if you're not sure why my opponent is activating these multiple times, this is an old card, which means that it is giving Shroud rather than Hexproof. So that is why my opponent is like activating twice in succession rather than just doing it, letting it resolve, and then going from there. All right, so our opponent has ended up with fewer lands in play, but more creatures. An Otawara. So I could, in theory, use this to like bounce a Nadu and attempt to stop my opponent from going off. That feels like such a short-term play, though, that I don't think I'm going to do it. I think I am just going to jam a Yorion right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess I could play the Otawara as a land. What is this Yorion even accomplishing, though? Not a lot. My plan for this game might be my opponent cannibalizes their lands, and then I turn a bunch of creatures sideways, though, so I'm going to hope that like turning a Yorion sideways at the same time as I turn a buffed Allosaurus Shepherd sideways, who is now gray, is enough to maybe steal this game. Wait, can I? Oh, target creature you control. Okay, cool. I don't have the ability to like mill out my opponent here. Not that I would anyway without them playing more creatures and they have Shroud and stuff. Alright, so my opponent is going to bounce their Nadu to get their other activation. They've found a Nomads in Core. 1, 2, 3 plus Nomads in Core. I'm just going to concede to that. Again, the lag that is going to be generated by my deck is insane. We're not going to sit here while opponents combo off today. Alright, here we go. I'm going to continue my trend of keeping hands with cards in them during this league, because we're never mulliganing to a specific plan with a deck this big. Death's Shadow? Sure. Opponent is a long-time viewer of my content. I think from back in the streaming days, even. I think we are immediately starting this game with a Wasteland and going from there. Yeah, especially after drawing another land. And apologies for the alternative Wasteland name here. I normally go through and try to fish those out, but look, I wasn't going to do it for the Battle of Wits deck. I'm not going to lie to you. Too many cards. All right, yeah. So Street Wraith, Watery Grave, like we are pointing in that Death Shadow aggro direction. I wonder what my opponent's like reason for playing that is. Like, I wonder if we're going to see something like a Nethergoyf Nethergoyf in there as an alternative alternative threat. Preordain seems fine before something like an Orcish Bowmasters could come down. Maybe an Underground Sea? Yeah. And I haven't made a joke about this being a budget deck list yet. Should have done that. Stoneforge? Is there a Cauldra in this deck list? Oh no. No, it'd be over here. Maybe there should be a Cauldra in this deck list. So I don't like Stoneforge then right now. And I don't think I like Flare of Cultivation. Bara's Headquarters. Not in love with it. Oop. Oh, I wastelanded turn 1. Right. So are we into White of the Reliquary on turn 2? Probably. Like, it's got Vigilance. Brainstorm. We're starting to get to the point where Death Shadow could be online. It won't be both online and scary, but once it is online and gets into play, hopefully I can Teferi bounce it out of play. I don't think I would care if a White of the Reliquary got dazed. Alright, Death Shadow officially online. Thoughtseize is fine. The Teferi is the best card in my hand, although my opponent could just take White of the Reliquary here to make it so that I don't play a card next turn specifically. Joke's on you, I found a new card to play. Do I have enough basics to turn this thing on? Forest, not snow-covered. Island, not snow-covered. Here we go. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I do have a bunch of snow-covered basics if I want to try to turn this into a Death Toucher. Let's work that way. Get Snow-Covered Forest. And again, we are doing this at sorcery speed because of the threat of Orcish Bowmasters in this format. I do miss playing with like Icefang Coatl and Baleful Strix. Hope our metagame comes full circle to the point where those are playable again. No. So we have one functional card plus a Yorion that's not going to be super strong here. Is it threat time? Not yet. 7. Reanimate. Yeah, that's fine. Teferi bounce that to my hand for the value. Ooh, okay. Well, hold on. Let's talk about this. Keen-Eyed Curator. So this is the new, air quotes, Scavenging Ooze effect. Can I take 8? Can I get Icefang Coatl to actually be a Death Toucher? That's another question. Or no, it'll count itself, right? Or is it other? Oh no, it is other. Well, it still blocks. Let's try it. Every time I'm fetching one of these basics, I am, like, very noticeably making my mana worse, though. No cover. There's Teferi. I think I'm gonna do this, though. Like, I think I'm gonna take that value and put my opponent in kind of a weird spot for whether or not they want to hit me for 8 or just ping Teferi. Because I will shut off a not irrelevant number of cards in their deck if that Teferi sticks around. 3rd land drop. Going to 2. Well, now I might just kill my opponent with a Raccoon Scout. Alright, opponent is going for me. They won't be able to play counterspells, so my stuff is resolving. Reanimate's not really a thing anymore. Oh no. 2 of those is scary. Fuck, and a Psychic Frog. Okay. That was a lot. Arid Mesa. Okay. So, always plussing Teferi. I need... Oh man, my mana's bad. I shouldn't think about deck thinning in a deck this size. That is just totally silly. So I'll draw my card. I'm hoping for another removal spell. Oh shit. Fuck! Psychic Frog, too good. I can't kill Psychic Frog. I can't play Keen-Eyed Curator for a block. I can... Oh. There's a more obvious solution here. Hold up. No covered mountain. Lightning Bolt face. Delicious. I missed that one in the comment section. Never would have let me live it down. We got the frowny face in chat. Opponent did most of the heavy lifting for us. We don't have any removal in the sideboard. I could do something like board in 2 Surgical Extraction. It's just so hard for me to have that at the correct time, though. Main deck's perfect. Run it back. Okay. As long as I am at 3 mana, like, this hand is quite actively good. This is a little sketch on the draw where my Carpet of Flowers could get dazed, or where if I wasteland my opponent, it actively works against Carpet of Flowers. Alright, well, there goes Carpet of Flowers. It's the best card in my hand, like, easily. Yeah. 1 in 2, or no, oh, sorry. We have 4 Carpet of Flowers. 3 in 778 chance of happening. And then we'll say yes. I'm gonna brainstorm here. It's like not the optimal brainstorm, but I just want to make sure I make a land drop. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. We're gonna put that one 2 down. I'm never shuffling. We're gonna hide that and hide the cantrip. And then this is turn 1, so I have made my land drop. Fantastic. Yeah, hopefully, like, Uros, Leovolds, and stuff distract my opponent from what's going on, and I get to slam a Battle of Wits. We would probably need counter spells to be used on other things first. Oh, no! Yeah. Alright, so the Battle of Wits is a little harder to cast. Very awkward to wasteland my opponent right now. I'm kind of reliant on them for mana. Yes, green, play Sylvan Safekeeper. Play tapped land, pass turn. And if my opponent wants to kill my Sylvan Safekeeper, they can kill my Sylvan Safekeeper. I'm F6ing. I am not messing around with that. Like, I need my mana. We've got a win condition, baby. Wasteland, unfortunately, here not contributing mana pips towards Leovold. Yet another watery grave, you coward. Yes! Alright, Ponder is great for us. Now, in case you're not super familiar with Carpet of Flowers is X mana of any one color, so we can't exactly bridge to Leovold specifically here. So we use either blue or green, and we get Uro going. So I'll play Wasteland so I can play around Daze. Yeah. I'm not wastelanding my opponent, so let's leave a blue floating here. Getting a land would be fantastic. Hell yeah. Not a land that lets me cast anything, but this land, pretty good with Sylvan Safekeeper. We can turn this into a dual land if we need to. Love tap. Unclear whether or not the attack is actually good in terms of the long-term optics of this game. So we do have the ability to slam Battle of Wits as early as next turn. I haven't done anything that's really worth countering since the Carpet of Flowers, though. So doing something like resolving the Leovold first might be nice. If I can jam a Battle of Wits around a Daze, though, maybe we'll talk. Alright, opponent's going in. 9? Frog? Shadow? Shadow? So I have 6 mana. That's Battle of Wits around Daze. I could convert Flagstones into a different land and try to spend a turn cycle casting things like Icefang Coatl and Leovold, though, and then follow up with Battle of Wits. I think that's going to be better. Yeah, I think that's going to be better. Let's sacrifice this Flagstones. Yes. So we just want this to be something that produces blue or green to go alongside this. Why don't we pick a... Oh, we have a tri-land. This is blue, green, and white. Can't get black here. Unfortunate. Ooh, there's black. Nice. So these are both blue-green, so it doesn't matter whether I pick blue or green. So let's go blue. So let's start with a nice blocker, like Icefang Coatl, that gives us a redraw. Fantastic. Cool. So now, black and green for Leovold. And it's a Leovold that will be damn hard to remove because of Sylvan Safekeeper, so this is probably worth a counterspell if my opponent has one. I don't think I'm wastelanding my opponent. I want to play Battle of Wits around soft permission. We'll call it a turn there. In case you're not familiar with the wording here, each opponent can't draw more than one card each turn, And whenever you or a permanent you control becomes a target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you can draw a card. So we don't get to go ham on this with our own Sylvan Safekeeper. It doesn't have the same sort of formatting that, say, Nadu does. Counter. Ooh, opponent getting rid of a Wasteland. That's perfectly fine. Flying? Sure. So this is just 2 damage right now. Like, that's all that is. I think I'm just going to take this hit. Yeah, I think I'm just going to take this hit. Even if something weird happens, this is not lethal. Like a dress down that happens, it turns us into a 13 power creature. I'm still just not dead to that. Okay. Getting rid of an edict, sure. All right. So my opponent gets to draw a card, but that card draw is prevented by Leovold, which is perfectly fine. So given the draw of additional land here, I think I'm into playing around Force of Negation by Wastelanding. I should have done this in my draw step, but I think I am into play around hard cast Force of Negation. So we'll say no to Carpet of Flowers for now. I'm not going to try to just like kill my opponent directly here. I want to hold things back in case things go wrong, and I don't want to make this Death Shadow bigger right now. So then second main phase. Yes. Blue. We'll put the mountain into play, I guess. Battle of Wits. Here it is. It is Force of Will instead. Damn. Yeah, so if I Wasteland in draw step, I can do this in first main and then decide how many creatures I want to send at my opponent's face directly. So I could, for example, attack with the Leovold, put my opponent to 5, which threatens lethal the following turn. But the draw step stop is very rarely used, so I don't have it set. Alright, Psychic Frog flies. I will probably use one of these as gain 5 or so life this turn. I think the Sylvan Safekeeper is currently worse. Not by a lot, but slightly. Alright, so again, this card draw is prevented by the Leovold. And now I have a Looming Uro, which hopefully gets to go unchecked here. I think I need to make green off carpet. Well, I guess it doesn't matter which one I make then. We can make green, though. Green, green, blue, blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's probably some method to the madness about what is correct to remove from graveyard based on other things that are in this deck, like the little raccoon friend. I'm not going to put a lot of thought into it, though. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Now I am probably the beatdown here, honestly. This one goes in for sure. I think I like attacks with both. And then I don't want to yield through this turn. I want to put my Yorion into my hand. Then I have a blue thing to pitch to Force of Will. Or not. We unchecked that box, but cool. Why does it also say yield through this turn now? Okay, cool. Not punished. Fetch. Mystic Sanctuary do anything? No. I'm just going to get another basic, another snow basic. Working towards that for Ice Vanquaddle seems like the most important thing here. Endurance. Sure. My attacks aren't great this turn. They're real good next turn. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to make some blue. I'm going to put this Yorion into my hand, which should already be in my hand, but that's not where we're at. I can play this. I kind of like just holding it for Force of Will and then doing an Endurance at the end of my opponent's turn. That, in theory, attacks for lethal. Yeah, let's call that good. Maybe at my end step, I should nuke their graveyard because of Psychic Frog flying. I just don't think they're the aggressor, though. I get punished by Murktide Regent for not doing it. But I also have the flexibility of hardcast Force of Will if for some reason I believe that is correct to do. Hot damn, we get there. Battle of Wits doing the thing. Okay, we have some mana fixing sort of stuff with Flagstone's crop rotation going on here. The intuition is a little weird and is not amazing. Probably good enough to just keep, but it doesn't feel good. Again, we can never mulligan to any specific game plan realistically, so we are keeping hands that have cards, things that do stuff. That is the kind of level of energy that we have going on here. This might be a Field of the Dead game. Like, just crop rotation for Field of the Dead, just like called shot, like we're going long. Or, and hear me out, we don't. I think I'm into just casting this now anyway, though. So this always replaces itself since the flagstones searches for a land, and then we get another thing. So like we'll just get like a tundra here or something like that, and then pick up something like a tri-land with the crop rotation. Oh my god, there's so many lands when you get to look at all of them. I mean, it could just be Ancient Tomb and I jam Battle of Wits next turn. Nakey. I don't hate it, but I think I'd rather try to play for a slightly longer game. Let's just grab a Triumph. Pass turn. If my opponent led on like basic forest or something, like I am down to just slam. But I am in a situation where I would like to end up with a bunch of islands. I have something like Swords to Plowshares for Psychic Frog or Tamiyo or Murktide Regent or whatever. Alright, now I don't have it for Tamiyo. Alright, so Tamiyo pluses. The Tamiyo is like not the biggest deal in the world. Let's cast an Intuition. See if it resolves as a starting point. So, yeah. Alright, I am getting to do it. This is overwhelming. So I could do something like Prismatic Ending, Prismatic Ending, Prismatic Ending, and try to junk the Tamiyo immediately. Or I could do something like Carpet of Flowers. I think I need to answer this Tamiyo. My opponent getting back random cantrips right now is very bad. Oh my gosh, it is not registering clicks. Okay, now it is. Kind of. Oh, I think the client died. Oh, yep, we killed the client. Okay, we're back. So let's now find something that casts Prismatic Ending. White, blue, white, green, no real difference. So let's take blue and attempt to take out the Tamiyo. Fantastic. And yes, it does keep the front side's mana value. So now we have this ability to like play a fair game of Magic where we eventually Battle of Wits after I do some things like Swords to Plowshares, kill a Psychic Frog or whatever, which I think is just better than trying to jam as quickly as possible. I think I like casting a Preordain here. Ooh. I don't have red, so I have to get rid of that. The Force of Will, I think I'm going to take. I think I just lose to an unchecked Psychic Frog here. So we are just going to attempt to Swords to Plowshares. We really, really, really don't want to Force of Will. Battle of Wits is my win condition in this game. We can pivot if we have to. Okay, Psychic Frog is out of play. We'll pass turn. All right, we have a land drop into a Barrogoyf. So I'm trying not to Force of Will. So we can Delighted Halfling and Yori into hand this turn, and then if I need to Force of Will, I have the potential of doing so without losing the way that I intend to win this game. Barrogoyf is not quite draw a card on hit like Psychic Frog is. It's close, but you're not always going to hit the creature. So I am less scared of this one than the Psychic Frog. Additionally, the Psychic Frog can draw into counter magic, which is a problem for me right now. A Brainstorm in response is pretty good. This lets you really manipulate cards. Then multiple Psychic Frogs going to the graveyard, meaning that my opponent can pick them back up. So my opponent will probably now cast a Psychic Frog, and I have to decide whether or not I'm countering that. That resolves. I think I'm hoping to draw a land and attempt to resolve Battle of Wits with Force of Will backup. Battle of Wits, unfortunately, is not legendary. We don't get the free pass. Force of Negation. So, are we jamming? The game probably doesn't get better for me. I would really love Days to not be live. I don't think the game gets better for me from here, though. So, here we go. Double Counterspell. Or maybe something like a counterspell plus a Brazen Borrower will set us back a lot. Okay, opponent is brainstorming. That's going to resolve. Oh shit, it's in play. So now we need to worry about Brazen Borrower. I don't think we are going to die from 16 in a single combat step here. That seems very unlikely. Opponent is getting Undercity Sewers. They are doing their due diligence to select towards something that takes Battle of Wits out of play. Not playing the land first. I imagine some number of cards are going to get discarded to Psychic Frog here. 2. Just 2. I'm going to take 7, which probably puts me in range of death next turn. Now there's a creature in the graveyard. This is a little bigger than it was before. Opponent can get back up Bowmasters. That's fine. Yep. Ponder's fine. I am not pulling the trigger on anything unless it touches Battle of Wits. Wasteland's fine. Sure. Yeah, no. Force a negation. We'll pitch the Yorion. My opponent needs to have a backup for this. They unfortunately do. And I do not have the ability to pay for that. We are unfortunately probably facing down lethal in the next turn cycle. Ancient Tomb would be a hot draw. So if I tap Delighted Halfling for Battle of Wits, I am just dead on board. This is 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't think I win this game in a fair capacity. I am going to go ahead and concede accordingly. We're probably not going to sideboard here. We'll just resubmit as is. Battle of Wits in hand. Keeper Reno. The Dryad Arbor is really awkward. I'm treating this as a 4-land hand mulligan to 6 that has a Battle of Wits in it. There's Surveil lands in this deck. I'm not going to look. I'll find out later. Lair, pass turn. I'm going to just F6 my opponent's turn. I am not using Force of Will on any spells that they cast. They can have them. I'm not winning the game without this Battle of Wits given this hand. This is not a strong hand. But we're playing a meme deck list, and I know what I'm about. Ponder's fine. Hierarch is perfectly fine and good. I could do Dazeable Hierarch and get Dryad Arbor out of the way, but with land drops 1 through 4 already lined up, I don't think I am going to do that. I think I'm just going to do Hierarch and then pass turn, fetch at the end of my opponent's turn. Second land drop. It's a Fatal Push, cool. Let's go find something that makes some blue mana here. Someday I will learn what these different triomes are. Bant Triome. Intuition. Don't mind that. I don't super think it's that strong or anything, but I don't mind it. We'll just put a Yorion into our hand here, pass the turn, end up doing another Triome at end of turn or something. If this game keeps going this way where my opponent does not present a threat, I probably won't jam Battle of Wits immediately. Once something like a Psychic Frog gets into play, it's a different question. I don't care about the, 2 damage per turn cycle of an Orcish Bowmasters, but a Barrogoyf or Psychic Frog representing repeated card advantage would be more of a problem. And I guess it's a good thing I didn't play out the Dryad Arbor earlier. 18. It's not so much to Surveillance. So that one's Bant. I'd love to see some red, I guess. Sure. Intuition's okay in this turn cycle. It's just a little awkward because I have this Dryad Arbor land. I have this ETB tapped land here. I think I am okay with end of turn Intuition, using that to bait a counterspell and going from there. It just seems kind of unlikely that I'm resolving this Battle of Wits right now. I am using my mana for Intuition, just in case you were wondering. I'm also not opening up my land to Fatal Push. Emperor of Bones. Yeah, absolutely. That's a strong one. End of turn. Intuition targeting you. I could just get 3 Battle of Wits here and then try Battle of Wits 2 turns in a row. It runs into Surgical Extraction in sort of an awkward way, but kind of cheeky and I like it. Yeah. Oh god, it's gonna fucking crash again. Okay, it almost crashed, but it figured it out. I've gotten Battle of Wits into my hand. Ice Fang Coatl is fine and dandy, but we are here to resolve Battle of Wits, damn it. And so we will try. Attempt 1 at Battle of Wits, which I will back up with Force of Will. Probably pitching Yori in here, keeping Ice Fang Coatl for a redraw. Yeah. Come on, baby. It is another Force of Negation, pitching a Psychic Frog. So we lose this counter war. I get to try again next turn, though. So biggest fear would probably be Psychic Frog into discard an Atraxa and go. My opponent can adapt to just make their creature grow. Getting an Ignoble Hierarch. The Ignoble Hierarch here does not matter. This is gonna go away at the beginning of the next end step. My opponent is just doing this for the additional points of power. 6 damage showing. Here's Battle of Wits. Dryad Arbor is not a functional land right now. Please no more interaction? Fuck yeah. Alright, Dryad Arbor as a blocker to help preserve my life total. Last turn. Again, Brazen Borrower is a thing that can happen. Opponent could also mill us for 69 cards. You know, there's ways. I'm 100% throwing Dryad Arbor under the bus of Emperor of Bones. Fuck yeah. Alright. Another win with actual factual Battle of Wits on board. Let's run it back. Okay. So, turn 1, basic snow-covered forest, island cycle for basic snow-covered island. Play Ice Fang Coatl, have Death Touch? That seems fine. The Ancient Tomb, Balin's Tomb, is not doing a lot immediately, but it's probably doing enough. We haven't seen some of the cards in the deck so far, which, you know, makes sense. There's kind of 277 of them. I am going to be lazy so that I can F6. Snow-covered forest, basic island cycling. I should not do these things with this timing because of things like Stifle. It doesn't matter in this instance all that much. My opponent's somewhat unlikely to be playing actual factual Stifle here. Snow-covered island. Pass turn. But there's it's called memory leak. There's so much memory leak going on Magic Online right now due to my deck being an ungodly number of cards that I kind of need to just keep things going a little bit. All right, I can play around days this game. I can play around days this game if I wait a turn cycle and do something like play Ignoble Hierarch out. I think that is worse for me, though, than just jamming my cards here, unfortunately. Nice. Oh, Consigned to Memory is in the main deck of this. Oh. Our opponent plays any Eldrazi. I've got those covered. So in good news, I will have a Death Toucher in play as of next turn. In bad news, things like Orcish Bowmasters, Fatal Push are just going to kill my Ice Fang Coatl. And my mana is not really going to be the smoothest if I play out another snow-covered land. Like, I need green, preferably quickly. Now, so this is awkward. Like, I want the green to immediately play Keen-Eyed Curator and be able to eat something. Like, it's quite relevant. That means I'm not getting Death Touch immediately. This needs to be green and maybe white. I guess it could be green-red. I guess it could be green-red. So, green. All right, we're in play. That means that I can go and eat Orcish Bowmasters in response to an Emperor of Bones trigger, and that's perfectly fine. Good attack with Ice Fang Coatl. I'll hold it back in case things get weird somehow with Emperor of Bones and something like an Atraxa randomly hitting the bin. Yep. So this is counter target triggered ability. I would really like to keep this Ice Fang Coatl around. Oh no, but that would mess up Keen-Eyed Curator this turn for Orcish Bowmasters. F. Plan ruined. Well, I guess my opponent can't play Adapt now. So I guess that is fine. Alright, counter that. Alright, cool. Now my opponent can put an Orcish Bowmasters or whatever under Emperor of Bones if they would like. They might want to keep things in graveyard for Psyche Frog in the future. I can't really block this. My opponent just wins combat. So they get their card this turn. That leaves them with 6 after they draw. And yeah, I'm losing that land. That's expected. So I could Balin's Tomb to activate Keen-Eyed Curator a bunch of times. I can only get 3 different types total with the Curator though, so I don't know that I am the most excited about that. There's Death Touch. I think the Ignoble Hierarch is still worth playing, and we'll call it a turn there. I think this is defensive. Maybe I should eat with this. I don't know, like, Psychic Frog just kind of messes with graveyard-oriented things anyway. Alright, so my opponent targets our Bowmasters. I will respond by attempting to eat that. My opponent will respond by exiling things with Psychic Frog. It is a Bowmasters. Sure. My opponent is going to shoot my Icefang Coatl. It is unfortunately going to die. Now my opponent can make their Psychic Frog fly. Yep. Sure. So that's getting in there. It's only 1 point of damage, but I'm not very good at just getting in for damage right now. I'm going to start eating my own graveyard for Keen-Eyed Curator. So creature is 1. Intuition, I can have 3 mana afterwards. Not in the most convenient ways, but I can have 3 mana. Let's figure out what this is doing. Intuition, target you. Target you. That's worth 2 life. I can get something that answers Psychic Frog and then try to hold down the board with Keen-Eyed Curator for a little while. That's probably the plan. Yeah, I think I'm just into something like Swords to Plowshares answer Psychic Frog for 1 mana. Oh my god, the lag. Swords. Alright, it took about 2 minutes, but my spell resolved. We attempt Swords to Plowshares on Psychic Frog. That is a Force of Negation. At this point, my clock is low enough that I am very unlikely to win this game. I think I need to just, like, draw a Battle of Wits. And I think I need to restart Magic Online in between games here. It's cool. 4 in 266 chance. Stuff like that happens all the time. So there's not really a way for me to disrupt the Psychic Frog exile 3 cards flying thing due to, you know, how priority works. I'm going to let my opponent target something with Emperor of Bones, and then I'll eat it. Yeah. Target Lorien Revealed. I eat Lorien Revealed. Creature and sorcery under here. Alright, opponent's going in. I'll block Emperor of Bones. If my opponent Bowmasters, my opponent Bowmasters. Oh right, adapt. Forgot about that. Sure. Yeah. I'll eat a random thing from your graveyard on the way out. We're very much dead though, like both on clock and in terms of being behind on board. So I'll take 4-ish damage. Okay, I take 4. I probably just die next turn. Give me a Battle of Wits. Not a Battle of Wits. At that, I think I am comfortable conceding this game. Let's give Magic Online a reboot. Alright, I think we're sitting at 2-2 right now. And I said that if we could come out ahead in this league, that would be a great success. So, we're playing for the Battle of Wits trophy. Coming out ahead. Honestly, a 2-3 would even be a pretty reasonable finish for this deck. And like, we won 2 games with Battle of Wits. We're doing the thing. Ah, fuck. We lose to whatever deck this is. Literally whatever deck this is, we do not beat it. We have such a low density of counterspells in our deck. But like, if my opponent is Storm or Doomsday or whatever, like, it's not happening. Alright, it is Necro Dominance. So, in case you're not familiar with this, my opponent is going to pay 19 life to draw 19 cards, and is then very, very likely to kill me in the end step. Now, it is not 100%. Sorry, 18 life, draw 18 cards. It's not deterministic here. My opponent needs to do a Born Upon the Wind, or a wind, so that they can play cards with flash. They have the blue mana already, so they don't need to get cute with something like Manamorphose. But this is essentially a powerful glass cannon deck that sometimes just loses to itself. All right, there's Born Upon a Wind. So my opponent's spells have flash, so now they get to go to town, cast a whole bunch of rituals. Once we are at Storm 10, I am in range to just die. I'm going to give you relevant updates. My opponent's going to play probably a whole bunch of artifact mana and then kill me. All right, my opponent has duressed me after playing out a bunch of mana. There is a Beseech the Mirror. The Beseech the Mirror can then go and get a Tendrils, and the Tendrils will kill me. Oh, nope, they're going to showboat a little bit. A little bit more. Like, you have Deterministic Legal. You've seen my hand. Stop playing with your food. All right, there we go. Dead. Let's board in 14 cards. We are boarding in everything here. The Surgical Extraction's pretty mid, but we're going to have a lot of just terrible cards. Let's try to find them. So, Swords to Plowshares, not great. Lightning Bolt at least impacts life total. Maybe we can board things out without scrolling down, huh? Prismatic Ending is not the strongest here. My opponent is most of the time going to just play out stuff. Counterspells are great. Flare of Cultivation is pretty weak. Eternal Witness is very slow. Teferi good. Able to find. Growth Spiral slow. Oh, there's some lands I can get rid of. Let's make this interface bigger. So Tabernacle, for example, doesn't really have text here. Let's get that out. All right, so 2 Tabernacles out. From here, it looks like I need to junk 4 more cards. Triggered abilities. That's relevant. I guess let's get rid of some slower, fair stuff. Like, White of the Reliquary is incredibly fair for a matchup like this one. I'm not going to end up with too many critters in my graveyard. That gets this back to 15. We'll call that perfect. I have a counter spell, so I'm going to keep, but this is not really going to be good enough. Like, I will just get duressed, lose Force of Negation, and lose. Okay, my opponent has mulligan to 6, but kept their hand. That's fine by me. I wonder if we should have some number of, like, Deafening Silences in the sideboard. Although, honestly, when you're playing a Battle of Wits deck, trying to optimize the deck list is, like, maybe not the most useful practice. Like, if you go in, why are you not playing X in your 285 card deck list or whatever, like, you've got some wiggle room to play some cards you like. All right, my opponent thought for a little while before making their plays, which probably does not bode well for me. All right, yeah, we're going. LED. We're trying not to bite until a Necropotence, if possible. We can be bit in the butt by some sort of weird pivot plan or something like that if my opponent were to do some sort of, like, Empty the Warren style thing, but we're really looking to hit, like, Necro or Beseech the Mirror. Yeah, your Brainstorm's totally fine. All right, we're going. I assume this is going to be Dark Ritual into something scary. There's Cabal Ritual. That resolves. That one does not get to resolve. We attempt to Force of Negation that. My opponent's got 1 card left, so this is presumably working. I guess we could eat a Pact of Negation. No, opponent just straight up went for it without any degree of protection. They might have decided after the Brainstorm that, like, things aren't getting better. So, might as well go now. Xander's Lounge. You plus Savannah. Make all the fun colors. Luster Storm. Sure. All Flooded Strand to draw another ETB tapped land out of the deck. Our goal is to now find something that can clock our opponent before our opponent has a chance to rebuild. Lusterstorm, very notably, is not going to trade with an enchantment, so I think that I am okay just firing this off relatively aggressively. And if my opponent wants to blow their LED to ponder, they may. All right. So we'll pick up another Triome of some kind. And again, we're hoping to draw a threat. I can put Yorion into my hand if I don't have anything else. Hey, let's Nadu. Brainstorm is a-okay. I have some weird lines available now, such as like Otawara and LED, because it'll cost one less due to Nadu, and try to mess with some timing of my opponent's stuff. Otawara also just like okay versus a Necro Dominance that's played out. I might hold up that mana, depending on what I draw. I think that's a good enough draw that I play that and then hold up Otawara every turn for the rest of the game from here. Like, this just does so much. It is a lot of damage and represents Nadu triggers. So we go, yeah, Bristly Bill, target Nadu. Nadu trigger happens. Getting a land would be clutch. Fuck yeah. Bristly Bill trigger. Target Nadu. Nadu triggers. Alright, my opponent's getting banned. Alright, so I get crop rotation. We'll do these Nadu triggers. I can then fetch and do some Nadu stuff. Or I can just hit my opponent for more physical damage. I kind of like more physical damage against my opponent's deck. Mystic Sanctuary is live? Mystic Sanctuary is live. So I'm not going to draw this card immediately. I can crop rotation. Oh, I did this wrong. None of these produce green. All right, Bristly Bill. Target Bristly Bill. Mystic Sanctuary. Target Flusterstorm. Yes. So Nadu trigger now. Nadu trigger puts Flusterstorm in hand. I have that as a safety net. Now I have Flusterstorm available and Otawara available, and a relatively respectable amount of damage. Ooh. Alright, cool. So I have 8 guaranteed next turn. I have more if I activate Bristly Bill's ability. Oh, fuck. My opponent is dead. Float mana. Green. Crop rotation. Sacrificing a land. I have red and white already. We're just going to get an Ancient Tomb here. I guess I can just get an Arid Mesa here. Or any other fetch land. It's just a lot of value with my friend Bristly Bill. We'll spread out the damage between the two creatures. Do the whole targeting thing. And then finish with Fireball. Do Bristly Bill again. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's all coming together now. This one targets Nadu. This one targets Nadu. All right, then all these abilities are going to resolve. Oop, opponent is, just discarding their hand to LED and then conceding. Sure. So if my opponent is actively going to play out their artifact mana on turn 1, Prismatic Ending has text that I didn't necessarily think it would have. That maybe means that I get rid of something like, say, Flare of Cultivation, or a Keen-Eyed Curator that would be slow, or a Growth Spiral that would be slow, to just keep the Prismatic Endings in there. Let's do that. Force of Vigor is a great card in this matchup, but with no green card to pair with it, this is not going to be viable. I'm going to have to mulligan this one. I think this is one of my first mulligans in the whole league. See what the 6 looks like. The 6 is not strong. Endurance is a free play, but it's not really what I'm looking for. We will be going to 5 here. This has no text at all. This hand is not competitive. We will be going to 4. The 4-card hand has Veteran Explorer, Flare of Cultivation, and a Natural Order. So I play Veteran Explorer, I Flare of Cultivation, I end up with a shit ton of lands, and then I just need to top deck a green creature to Natural Order? Is that better than keeping, like, land, blue card, Force of Will? The answer might be no, but I'm going to try this. Alright. Don't have high hopes, but I didn't have high hopes for the matchup from the time that we, saw the first Dark Ritual. Okay, I am going to make it to my next turn. That's good. So, fetch. Probably pick up like a tropical island here. Play Veteran Explorer. Sack Veteran Explorer. Veteran Explorer trigger goes on the stack. This may end up giving my opponent 1 mana. I think we just have to accept that. So there's very few black cards in the deck. I kind of want red mana in case I rip something like Fourth Aerlingas. I'm going to choose Mountain for one of them. What needs to be in play for next turn? Maybe I can just take Mountain and Swamp. Or I can get those off Flare of Cultivation. I'm probably getting so many lands that I don't need to overthink this. Let's put 2 into play directly. See if my opponent has a basic island. Presumably the answer is yes, but I don't know their mana base. Oh, fuck, 2 basic islands. That's so much mana. Maybe this one should be a basic forest. I kind of want to be able to triple green. Fuck, maybe I messed up. Maybe I need to be able to play green play green 1-drop if I draw one into natural order. I fucked up. I think I'm gonna live with the fuck up. I also should have gotten Snow-Covered Island. Snow-Covered Forest goes into play tapped. Yeah, I don't need this secondary white source. I don't think I'm getting another turn, but I wasn't even sure that I was going to get a first turn, so here we are. Opponent has 4 mana before any rituals happen. That is a Necro Dominance. So, hands off the wheel. We'll see if my opponent kills us. By all rights, they should, but the deck does sometimes lose to itself. So here's the draw 19, presumably. Yeah, there it is. Now, opponent didn't preemptively crack LED. That LED is currently not the most usable. Unsure if mistake or not without knowing cards in their hand. Alright, there's the Born Upon a Wind. My opponent is now going to rattle off a whole bunch of spells and presumably kill me. I'm going to give you the end of turn update or other relevant updates. Okay, and a handful of spells later, we do have the Tendrils of Agony. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. At least 10 copies. At that, we can go ahead and concede. GG's. We don't end up positive in the league, but we did get some play points back by going 2-3. Okay, that was a lot of fun. I'm not going to lie to you. You can make some improvements to this deck list. For example, shoving a Kaldra or a Batterskull into your deck list so that if you draw a Stoneforge Mystic when you don't have the Nadu plan going, sure, that is a thing you can do. You can do all sorts of micro optimizations to this deck list, but generally speaking, if you want to play Battle of Wits, this is an okay starting point for you to build around. Just know that when you are doing this to have a good time, not to build something that is hyper competitive when you need specific things in your opening hand, such as we did in this final round. The math is very, very much against you, and you can't play a consistent game of Magic every time. Now, you are going to keep your opponents guessing, did many of my opponents know that I had a Nadu finish in my deck? No, probably not. But man, Bristly Bill into Nadu as a thing that you can do while also just threatening, a Natural Order or Battle of Wits kill is an okay thing to, spend a Thursday afternoon doing. Folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. If you need some cards to, fill those last few slots of your Battle of Wits deck, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com, and using promo code ThrabenU to let them know that I sent you. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!